Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star episode number 400 based on novel. So let's start. Within the life and death corridor of the boat of Mausoleum, there were many towering figures. They were either plant life forms, blood and flesh life forms, or rock life forms. They bore all sorts of appearances and wore different kinds of armor and robes, of which the Divine Eye Clan, Purple Moon Holy Land, and East Emperor Holy Land were the top 3 strongest groups. Every single one of them possessed powers that exceeded 10 Universe Masters combined. There were also several other Universe Masters scattered about. These Universe Masters were at areas that were extremely close to the Flame Ice region. Thus, they were able to rush over in the shortest time possible. They might be powerful, but they did not dare meddle with how the top 3 powers were dealing with human form Luo Feng. Poor human. Unlucky fellow. That human Milky Way was pretty fast in comprehending the Rhinoceros Emperor game. Dandong River has made it known so directly. If the two of us are also fast in comprehending the Rhinoceros Emperor game, will it be publicized? Or will we be mobbed? Even if we did decode the game, let's hide our ability for now and not let it show in the crystal pillar. It's not too late to show after some time, when the number of great beings in here gets bigger. By that time, our clan's great beings will have become stronger. True. Although they could see that Luo Feng was being besieged, they showed no trace of pity at all because deep down, they all coveted that inheritance. If Luo Feng, the most hopeful candidate for the inheritance, was out of the way, that works to their advantage. That loathsome bastard. The same moment the horned lizard's sharp claws clashed with that huge grinder with a loud bang, its tail transformed into a dazzling arc of light with a sudden lash. Then, just like marks made by a battle blade, it slashed toward that single-eyed special life form of the Divine Eye Clan. Although those surrounding Luo Feng at that moment belonged to the 3 groups of powers, not all of them were clansmen of these 3 groups of power. For instance, Fog Creator Master, who had been killed by Dandong River through the use of an activated secret technique that the stone pillars contained, was not from any of these clans. He was a special life form. Some top groups of powers would have subjects under their command. For instance, the primal universe had humans. Thus, the human race formed the Hong Alliance with a couple of universe masters under its command. Say, in the future, the primal universe faced destruction. Luo Feng and all of humanity would have to enter the miniature universe. At that time, an even smaller part of their space would have to be divided out for their subjects. At least, as individuals, these universe masters were still able to continue surviving independently. These universe masters would naturally be of a lower status compared to the people of the human race, and in situations that involved greater risks, they would be the ones sent to deal with the situations regardless of the dangers they had to face. Of the great beings who were dealing with Luo Feng this time around, the majority were subjects of the top 3 groups of powers with the abilities to divide bodies. Although they were subjects, they did not fall short in terms of combat ability and were able to put up a tough fight against the toughest opponent. Luo Feng was besieged by the 7 great universe masters. Milky Way, you are really quite good in struggling. This armor of yours works really well. Losing that pair of silver wings, you unexpectedly gained this worthy armor. But what use could there be for you to put up a struggle? Fighting against us at full force, even if you managed to stay alive, how much effort would be left for you to commit to the Rhinoceros Emperor game? Give up. It is better to back off early. They were at an overwhelming advantage, as Luo Feng was, after all, still weaker in terms of godly power. And even if he was not inferior in many other areas like knowledge of secret techniques, when it came to comparing godly power, he barely made it to the same level of power as the weakest one among all 7 great universe masters. The moment they laid siege on him, he would have no choice but to be trampled upon. Relying on his crazy demon extermination godly armor, he was able to expand and take the form of beast god. That was how he gained an extremely strong defense ability that allowed him to pull through all the attacks. This will not do. Luo Feng was fighting at the speed of lightning whilst in the body of the single-horned lizard. He was filled with anxiety. This cannot go on. I need to maintain the beast god's existence at all times, but it is consuming too much godly power. As time drags on, too much of my godly body will be consumed. And in Universe Ocean, the rate at which my godly power replenishes is slow. Moreover, even if I am not worried about using up my godly power, to continue fighting in this manner, the efficiency of studying Rhinoceros Emperor game will be greatly reduced. I can't be bothered with so much. Luo Feng gritted his teeth. as there was a large number of Universe Masters present, to the extent of 2 Universe Supreme Masters amongst them. Luo Feng had not wanted to take Star Tower out. But, forced into a corner as he was now, he had no other way out. His comprehension of Rhinoceros Emperor game was too important. The besieged, single-horned lizard was fleeing helter-skelter as the 7 great Universe Masters launched attacks brazenly. Suddenly, from within the single-horned lizard's body, a Crimson Tower emerged, and the single-horned lizard speedily disassembled itself to enter the Crimson Tower. Then this Crimson Tower sat itself on the corridor's ground and moved no more. A palace true treasure! How dare you hide within your palace true treasure? You really think we have no way to deal with you? Foolish fellow! Hiding within a palace true treasure is actually the best way to court death. The 7 Universe Masters surrounded the Crimson Tower and looked at what was in the middle of their circle. Then they looked at one another and started to laugh. Who shall make the first move? Who is willing to make a move? This is an opportunity. You should take it. I think it is better for you, Wind Wolf Master, to do it. Your ceiling true treasure is one of the best among the pinnacle true treasures. We will be more certain that we can seal him inside the tower. At that moment, within Star Tower, Luo Feng could clearly hear every word of the conversation going on outside. He was inside the control hall of Star Tower and did not dare slacken to the slightest degree. He carefully observed the outside world, listened to every sound, watched the Universe Masters in conversation with one another, and could not help letting out a snort of laughter. You all must be kidding, he said. Sealing? You all are thinking of sealing me in here? Even the best out of all the pinnacle palace-type true treasures. This is a sealing-type supreme true treasure we are looking at. There is no possibility of sealing this type of supreme true treasure at all. Outside, Wind Wolf Master sneered. All right, leave it to me. With my treasure, he will only be able to escape my seal if his palace is also the best out of all pinnacle true treasures. Otherwise, he will not be able to escape at all. Once sealed. Wind Wolf Master continued no more. He was worried that Dandong River would catch wind of their conversation and attack him. Once sealed, there would be no chance for Luo Feng to get into contact with the crystal pillar. Therefore, there would be no chance to receive the inheritance. Previously, 2 candidates who were undying godly souls were implicated and subsequently died, therefore leading to the annihilation of Fog Creator Master. Wind Wolf Master was also worried because sealing Luo Feng within the tower would deprive Luo Feng of any chance of receiving the inheritance, which would also lead to Luo Feng being annihilated. After sealing Luo Feng, it was no big deal if Luo Feng was annihilated. However, if he had spoken too much before the sealing took place to have provoked Dandong River into killing him, then he would have been so wronged. Human. Wind Wolf Master held out his palm, and instantly, a dazzling tricolor tower shaft appeared suspended in midair. He snorted while looking at the Crimson Tower. Seal. Wind Wolf Master's godly power burned up to activate his true treasure. The next moment, the tricolor tower shaft flew over to station itself directly above Crimson Star Tower. A hole appeared at the bottom of the tower shaft, and an intangible yet powerful suction energy was exerting its influence over Star Tower. It started to pull on it like crazy. The force acted strongly over Star Tower, causing Star Tower to shake slightly. When Wind Wolf Master saw how Star Tower merely trembled slightly without even leaving the ground, he gritted his teeth and growled, "Seal. Just a little bit more. Fog Creator Master, your sealing true treasure suction force is not enough. Add a bout of power, put in your very best." The other 6 Universe Masters were urging him on out of anxiety. Fog Creator Master was furious. He turned and shouted, "I have been putting in my best since I arrived. If my power is still short of that little bit, what can I do? To be able to put up such resistance, this human's true treasure is also a pinnacle true treasure that is one of the best. If any of you have something better, why not give it a shot?" "I'll do it," a hostile man with a single-eyed shadow behind him volunteered. Luo Feng was looking at the outside in a relaxed manner as he thought to himself, they must be kidding if they are thinking of swallowing Star Tower without it putting up any resistance. The other party must be using a supreme true treasure to make that possible. Otherwise, if both were sealing type, is it possible for a pinnacle true treasurer be able to seal his Star Tower? Sealing failed. Those Universe Masters would only think of his Crimson Tower as one of the best pinnacle true treasures. They would not have considered that it might be a supreme true treasure. Seeing how the Universe Masters failed one after another, Luo Feng did not dare to lose vigilance. He was afraid that these guys were capable of other means on top of sealing. A dozen great beings from the Divine Eye clan, Purple Moon Holy Land, and East Emperor Holy Land had gathered here, and everyone was filled with anxiety. Earlier, the 7 universe masters who had laid siege to Luo Feng had failed and had gone to the extent of borrowing true treasures from other great beings. Yet none had succeeded, even by force. This human has too many valuables. His armor is a treasure, and this tower true treasure, I think, is one of the best pinnacle true treasures that are hard to come by. To swallow it, I think only a supreme true treasure could achieve that. True, that's right. Seems like we have to turn to a universe supreme master for help. Right. Only a universe supreme master would have the means to. Divine Eye clan, out of the 3 of us, only your clan has universe supreme masters present here. We will all be looking to you to complete the task. Everyone was frowning, even Dear Bug Master, Shadow Dust Master, and Sorcerer Sprite Master had noticed everything that was happening. Shadow Dust Master sent the news to 2nd and 7th True Masters of Divine Eye clan via voice transmission. Out of the various great beings, there was certainly a handful whose powers transcend them all. True Masters, we are at our wits' end. I think only True Masters' intervention will be able to deal with Luo Feng. This time around, the representatives from the Divine Eye clan included, other than Universe Masters, 2nd True Master and 7th True Master, who decided to join in the game. However, since the moment they had arrived, they had been silently comprehending the Rhinoceros Emperor game without intervening in this matter. Right then, the Universe Masters were no longer able to find ways to deal with Luo Feng. These 2 True Masters were their only hope, now. Shadow Dust, Sorcerer Sprite, we have just arrived, 2nd True Master explained via voice transmission. However, Dandong River has already set the rules which forbade us to attack any other candidates. We either don't attack at all, or we meet our doom. Shadow Witch couple was shocked to learn of this. At the same time, 2nd True Master also transmitted this news to notify the other Universe Masters of the top 3 strongest groups of powers. What should we do now? Do we really watch helplessly while Luo Feng receives the inheritance? Dear Bug Master replied via voice transmission. East Emperor Holy Land and Purple Moon Holy Land were adding to the pressure and urging on the side. 2nd and 7th True Masters looked at one another. As their gazes met, they quickly came to a decision. I have a Palace Supreme True Treasure, Ice Cliff Fortress, that has the ability to seal. 7th True Master gritted his teeth as he transmitted this information. However, this Supreme True Treasure recognizes its master and has very stringent requirements on willpower. If a Universe Master were to use it, this Universe Master must have the willpower of a Universe Supreme Master. All of you from the 2 Holy Lands, your Universe Masters have lived through countless years. There are a few who have willpower that matches that of Universe Supreme Masters. You just have to nominate one of these few and let him interact with the Supreme True Treasure to get it to recognize him. Then this Universe Master will be able to use Ice Cliff Fortress to seal Luo Feng. Then who shall it be? Purple Moon Holy Land and East Emperor Holy Land took some time to ponder this question because the great being to be sent as a representative would face a high chance of annihilation. The Divine Eye clan has provided our Supreme True Treasure. How could it be fair to ask us to send one of us out there? 7th True Master transmitted his question angrily. He was also very anxious. If not, he would not have been willing to put his Supreme True Treasure out in the open. And he was also prepared for the moment when Luo Feng was sealed, he would seize back his Supreme True Treasure to prevent Dandong River from taking it away from him. All right, East Emperor Holy Land will go. Soon, one Universe Master stepped out from the crowd. Very well, 7th True Master transmitted his order. With a Supreme True Treasure, unless that human Milky Way also has a Supreme True Treasure, there will be no escape for him. It was Huangku Master who came forward. He was from Eastern Emperor Holy Land. He had multiple bodies, and others had discovered that his comprehension abilities were inferior, so he would have loved to come forward and make some contributions to the race. 7th True Master at Ice Cliff Fortress, Huangku Master stood aside and waited for 7th True Master to take the Supreme True Treasure out. All the other Universe Masters were looking at him. Ha ha, do you really think I'm foolish enough to just give it out like that? 7th True Master glanced at Huangku Master and smirked. After all, it's a Supreme True Treasure. If you take it and refuse to return it in the future, what can I do? I have a suggestion. You give us a Supreme True Treasure or some Pinnacle True Treasures. After we finish dealing with that human Milky Way, we'll give each other's true treasures back. What if that Supreme True Treasure is taken by Dandong River? Huangku Master said coldly. Seventh True Master shook his head and transmitted his voice. Those pinnacle true treasures are useless to me. A supreme true treasure at risk of being taken by Dandong River is worth all those pinnacle true treasures. Besides, we might be killed because of this inheritance, especially as Universe Supreme Masters. We don't have multiple bodies, so if we're killed, we'll be dead forever. Do you really think I'll take it? He sneered. This ice cliff fortress of mine is very valuable. It's up to you. I'll ask for supreme true treasures directly if you're not sincere. There were over 10 Universe Masters from Eastern Emperor Holy Land, and they were all elites within Eastern Emperor Holy Land. 2 of them had supreme true treasures. As for the Universe Masters from Purple Moon Holy Land, 2 of them had supreme true treasures as well. 7th True Master might lose a supreme true treasure, so Eastern Emperor Holy Land didn't want to risk it. The Divine Eye Clan and Eastern Emperor Holy Land made the deal immediately. Okay, let's do it, we agree. The Divine Eye Clan selected 8 top-tier pinnacle true treasures, 3 of which could rival Crazy Demon Extermination Godly Armor. This is Ice Cliff Fortress, 7th True Master said. He waved his hands. An iceberg appeared in the sky, and there was an exquisite fortress beside the iceberg. The transparent, breathtaking iceberg could have been qualified as a piece of art. Huangku Master's eyes were gleaming. He tried to make the true treasure recognize him as its master. Star Tower was still standing in the hallway. Inside the control room, Luo Feng observed the outside carefully. However, the great beings outside were all using their godly power to transmit their voices, so he couldn't discern their plan. When he saw them all take out true treasures, especially when he saw 7th True Master take out Ice Cliff Fortress, Luo Feng immediately realized their plan. Ice Cliff Fortress? The famous supreme true treasure that belongs to 7th True Master? Luo Feng felt intimidated. It seems they want to use a ceiling palace type true treasure to take my Star Tower. Supreme true treasures versus supreme true treasures, it was difficult to speculate which one was more powerful. Star Tower is extremely powerful, thought Luo Feng. Nobody in the original universe was able to take it. However, that's only in the original universe. Star Tower hasn't competed with Ice Cliff Fortress yet. If he takes it from me, I'm doomed. If he can't take it from me, I'll be okay, but Star Tower will be exposed. Because if even Ice Cliff Fortress can't take it, they'll all know that this bloody tower is a supreme true treasure. Thoughts flooded Luo Feng's mind. What should I do? What should I do? Luo Feng frowned and kept contemplating. Either case was bad for him. He gazed outside and thought hard about it. Luo Feng noticed the crystal and stone pillars. His eyes gleamed. Okay, I'll try that. Just when Huangku Master was trying to make Ice Cliff Fortress recognize him as its master, the bloody tower flew over above a crystal pillar while the base of the tower sunk. It immediately became much taller, and it hit the top of the hallway. The crystal pillar was inlaid into the base. Ha ha! Do you really think that's going to help? Huangku Master laughed with Ice Cliff Fortress in his hand. He threw Ice Cliff Fortress and used his godly power to drive it. Suddenly, Ice Cliff Fortress started to float and turned to face the bloody tower. Ice Cliff Fortress immediately had an incredible absorbing power on Star Tower and made the bloody tower shake. It seemed to work, but it didn't. How is it possible? Huangku Master was horrified and furious. He glanced at 7th True Master. Impossible. Unless it's a supreme true treasure. No. A man from the Divine Eye Clan frowned and said, it's not a supreme true treasure. Rather, that human Milky Way just moved his true treasure and merged it with the crystal pillar. That crystal pillar was left by Dandong River. It's connected to Boat of Mausoleum. If we want to seal that human, we will have to break that crystal pillar. This has never happened. How is it possible? Everyone was dazed. Luo Feng sat in the control room, smiling. Star Tower was a ceiling-type true treasure, which was why the base could be cracked and had the power to absorb everything. With the help of Blood Cloud Pearl, its shape could be altered. At this moment, the base of Star Tower was stuck tightly to the crystal pillar. Even if Star Tower wasn't a supreme true treasure, it would have to be separated from the crystal pillar before it could be taken away. If the base of Star Tower or the crystal pillar was broken, they could be taken altogether. However, apparently, the stone pillars and crystal pillars left by Dandong River were invincible. This rarely happens, Luo Feng whispered. When other great beings are being absorbed, their only choices are to use their burning godly power to resist or to hide in their palaces. There are rarely objects that can't be moved by supreme true treasures, even in the three lands of extremis. In the three lands of extremis, there were many environments, lava, winds, and lakes, and there were no objects available to be used to protect oneself. It was like an ordinary person holding a tree during a tornado. When the tree broke or the human let go, he would be blown away. Some supreme beings were so powerful they didn't have anything to hold on to. Even in the three lands of extremis, there were a few objects that even universe supreme masters couldn't break. Boat of Mausoleum and black-striped stone pillars were exceptions. As for the natural objects in Tilted Peak Sector and Flowing Countless Mountain, they could be easily broken. Which was why there were few objects that could be clung to by great beings. However, Luo Feng was in Boat of Mausoleum, where even the ordinary ground could resist the attacks from Universe Supreme Masters. As for the stone pillars and crystal pillars, those were used for inheritance, so they were unbreakable. Boat of Mausoleum was an exception, and great beings just tried to use a Seal Palace-type true treasure to absorb Luo Feng, so they immediately understood the mysteries behind this. Damn it, what a lucky guy. Even though supreme true treasures are powerful, they can't just break that crystal pillars, not to mention crack a pinnacle true treasure. We can't do anything now. That crystal pillar the human Milky Way clung to is the crystal pillar he's using himself. Even if he stays there forever, he can still study the Rhinoceros Emperor game. All the great beings had already figured out the mysteries. They were all furious, yet they couldn't do anything about it. We can't just kill him. Huangku Master, give Ice Cliff Fortress back to me, said 7th True Master. Huangku Master was hesitant at first. He made eye contact with other great beings, and he gave back the true treasures anyway. The three powers were all upset. We can only use the simplest way now. Attack it. Material attack, soul attack. It's only a pinnacle palace-type true treasure. It might defend itself against material attacks well, but it'll be less efficient against soul attacks. I don't think he can still study Rhinoceros Emperor game when his soul is affected. We can even kill his soul. Okay. Let's attack him together. The 7 Universe Masters started to attack Luo Feng again. However, Luo Feng was sitting in Star Tower and not being affected by the attacks. Soul attacks can't penetrate it even a little bit. His palace-type true treasure is very special. It must be made of some special material. Godly power can't penetrate it at all. The 7 Universe Masters immediately figured it out. Some materials could indeed block godly power, such as force armor, which could weaken all sorts of soul attacks to 1/10. Crazy demon extermination godly armor could weaken soul attacks to 1/100th. As for Boat of Mausoleum, it could completely block a soul attack. Star Tower was a supreme true treasure. If it was put inside someone's body, it could guard the soul. Outside, it could easily resist all sorts of soul attacks. As for material attacks, some shockwaves passed inside, as no supreme true treasures could perfectly block shockwaves. However, with the protection of a supreme true treasure, material attacks couldn't break valuables. That true treasure can completely block soul attacks. What a true treasure! Second only to a supreme true treasure. Damn it! Then we'll use material attacks. It's only a top-tier pinnacle true treasure. Under the shockwaves, he won't be able to study the game. The 7 Universe Masters could only hit that Star Tower again and again, like a blacksmith hitting the iron repeatedly, making Star Tower shake. Of course, the shaking was fake, those attacks were nothing to Star Tower. Hit all you want, hit all you want. Luo Feng was seated comfortably in the control room, watching at ease as the 7 Universe Masters attacked like crazy from the outside. However, the supreme true treasure Star Tower was simply too powerful. It could reduce the impact of their attacks to such a negligible degree that Luo Feng's godly power hardly felt anything. With Luo Feng's power, it was possible for him to be free from distraction. There is no need for me to go out at all, he said. I can use my godly power to penetrate into that crystal pillar to continue with my practice of the Rhinoceros Emperor game. Luo Feng smiled. I do not even need to extend the use of my godly power into studying the endgames. In the virtual universe, on a lone individual surface, fog shrouding the surroundings, and there were numerous stone pillars with 3-dimensional virtual shadows. On the left row were 123 stone pillars, and on the right were 10,080 stone pillars. Luo Feng appeared out of thin air, and parked himself within the stone pillars, and could not help feeling pleased. This Rhinoceros Emperor game. To complete decoding the entire game and 10,080 endgames, I will have to simulate it all the way in the virtual universe. I can immerse myself in comprehending without worrying about how the three groups of powers were torturing themselves out there. I have nothing to do with them. Decoding the Rhinoceros Emperor game and all its endgames was not a situation that had been within Luo Feng's control prior to being besieged. Rather, after Primal Chaos City leader and Huge Axe creator learned about the Rhinoceros Emperor game, they had immediately asked Luo Feng to send a simulation of it back to the virtual universe. Obviously, Primal Chaos City leader, Huge Axe, and the other great beings of the human race were very curious about the game. The Rhinoceros Emperor game had been the most popular game in the days of the ancient Great Civilization, and it also provided supplementary help for cultivation. How could Huge Axe and Primal Chaos City leader not be intrigued? This was why Luo Feng had to simulate the game all the way to the virtual universe. So long as he was able to simulate one version, relying on the power of the virtual universe, more copies could be made so that every universe master of the human race could study the game. The Rhinoceros Emperor game is simply too mysterious, mused Luo Feng. I need to continue studying it. His consciousness was in the virtual universe, as it was responsible for observing things. The real studying of the game took place in Huge Axe Creator's miniature universe. Time passed like flowing water. In the universe boat, at the cabin doors of the boat of Mausoleum. Purple Moon Holy Land and East Emperor Holy Land, the both of you do not need to worry about any impending doomsday. Why do you want to vie for the inheritance too? Just the two of you? Do you think you are enough to stop all of us from the first reincarnation era? Besides, it is not just us from the first reincarnation era. I believe the other two reincarnation eras have plans to enter, too. You two old fellows, scram! Get lost, how dare you sever all hope for my race. I shall not worry whether you are from a holy land or not. Everyone, let's join forces and attack. The situation at the cabin doors was already a state of frenzied killing. The first reincarnation era, who facing an impending doomsday, would no longer be mindful of whether their opponents were from a holy land or not. They were about to meet their doomsday, yet the universe supreme masters from the two holy lands had dared to join forces in blocking the entrance of the cabin doors. Were these great beings from holy lands tired of living? At that instant, the two universe supreme masters, together with the dozens of universe masters, joined forces in a crazy exchange of attacks. Only universe supreme masters of the two holy lands had supreme true treasures, but they could not seem to use them to attack all at one time. You may be able to hinder us this time, but how long can you keep up with the obstruction? When the other groups of powers arrive, you all will not be able to resist any further. Detestable. Loathsome. You idiotic holy land. You deserve to die. Great beings from the other groups of powers from the first reincarnation era were getting growing furious because they were blocked and stuck outside. The Divine Eye clan was merely one of the many groups of powers from the first reincarnation era. 1-to-1, the Holy Land universes were indeed very powerful. But when compared to an entire reincarnation era, even the weakest primal universe era, both Holy Lands had to join forces to be comparable in power. Within the first reincarnation era, universe supreme masters alone numbered in the dozens. In terms of power, even if the two Holy Land universes were combined to obtain doubled power, they were still far from that of the first reincarnation era. Not to mention that this time, it was all about the third reincarnation era. The two old fellows from Purple Moon Holy Land and East Emperor Holy Land forcibly blocked the entrance for more than a year. Thereafter, the 7 Universe Supreme Masters brought their teams of Universe Masters and mightily forced their way in. These 7 Universe Masters were fast and assisted the two Holy Lands in continuing to block off oncoming great beings. This time round, only half a year passed, but the last batch of 20-odd Universe Supreme Masters who had led a large army of Universe Masters, Universe Knights and a sea of undying godly spirits, had charged their way in. Mightily, they charged their way in. Dandong River's selection process this time round was obviously much more aggressive. If the selection process during Luo Feng's batch had eliminated 50% of the turnout, then because the number of candidates turning up later was simply overwhelming, the elimination rate of Universe Masters and Universe Knights thereafter increased from 50% to 80%. And the elimination rate of undying godly spirits reached a new high of 99%. Within the life and death corridor of the boat of Mausoleum, elite great beings from the 3 reincarnation eras and the 2 Holy Lands gathered. From Purple Moon Holy Land, there were 11 Universe Masters. From East Emperor Holy Land, there were 14 Universe Masters. From the entire first reincarnation era, there was a total of 6 Universe Supreme Masters and 126 Universe Masters. From the entire second reincarnation era, there was 1 Universe Supreme Master and 32 Universe Masters. From the primal universe era, there was 21 universe masters. Judging from the number of great beings, one could tell the determination of the first reincarnation era. Almost every group of power had sent their elites, yet before the number and power of the first reincarnation era, groups of powers such as those from the two Holy Lands could only lower their heads and stand aside as they no longer had any advantages to speak of. The reason why the number of Universe Supreme Masters was not considered many. More of it was because of the two Holy Lands. The two Holy Lands had arranged for Universe Masters, Universe Knights and Undyings to be sent over, but they did not send any Universe Supreme beings in. The three reincarnation eras saw the arrangements and understood right away. In terms of inside information, in terms of number of secrets known, the three reincarnation eras would never be able to hold a candle against the two Holy Land universes. Since long ago, the two Holy Land universes had always been aloof and detached, yet this time, they had sent in quite a sizable army of Universe Masters, making it very apparent that the inheritance this time round was indeed very important. Next important point to take note was that the Holy Land universes did not deploy any Universe Supreme Masters, which most probably meant that, even if Universe Supreme Masters were to go in, they would not serve much purpose. Therefore, other than the two Universe Supreme Masters from Divine I Clan who had initially charged their way through, the groups of powers were no longer as reckless as before. It was only the first reincarnation era who felt compelled to send 6 Universe Supreme Masters as they were a little crazy in the face of their impending doomsday. The second reincarnation era merely sent 1, which was also a lone wanderer. The primal universe simply kept its Universe Supreme Masters away from deployment. Around a dozen Universe Masters were waving their close-range killing true treasures and roaring without inhibitions as they attacked the Crimson Tower. Loud roars sounded time and again, causing the entire life and death corridor to tremble as a result. What is going on? Who are the Lord Universe Masters attacking? That tower that is under attack belongs to a human from the primal universe, Milky Way Horde leader. It is said that the most possible candidate to receive the inheritance is Milky Way Horde leader. That's why everyone is trying their best to influence and affect him when he is in the process of comprehending the game. The undying godly spirits were sending messages to one another secretly via voice transmissions as there were simply too many undying godly spirits present. Just like the first reincarnation era, almost every other group of power had brought millions of undyings. Even Divine I Clan sent over a second batch of undying godly spirits. This resulted in the number of candidates, who were undying godly souls from the 3 reincarnation eras and the 2 Holy Lands, to still be close to 100,000 even after the selection process. The total number of Universe Knights was close to 3,000. The number of Universe Masters was close to 200. At that moment, this was the situation within the life and death corridor. Human form Milky Way, what makes you think you can accept that inheritance? Attack. This bastard. The various groups of powers had their great beings occasionally attacking, making it seem as though Luo Feng was their punching bag. Regardless of however or whenever, anyone could attack him as and when they pleased. Within Star Tower, Luo Feng opened his eyes and snorted as he took one look at the outside situation. Make all the noise you want, make as many complaints as you wish. When I receive the inheritance, you all will receive the greatest shock of your lives. However, it seems like Dandong River is bent on choosing a good heir this time. He has gotten so many candidates to step forward to vie for the inheritance, even my Hong Alliance also sent in so many representatives. This time round, the weakest group of power was none other than Primal Universe Era. Furthermore, the number of great beings being sent over was few to start with, therefore, the various groups had to act with concerted efforts. Human Race, Bugs Clan, Demon Clan, Automaton Race, Crystal Clan, Prison Race, Space Beast Alliance, Ancestral God School, various groups of powers from the Primal Universe had combined efforts, sending a large army of great beings with the number of undying godly spirits exceeding 100,000, and all of these charged over with murderous intentions, and all of them were great beings that had passed the selection. Those who made it into the Rhinoceros Emperor game was a much smaller number. Among them, Hong Alliance had 1 Universe Master, Pengong Master, 9 Universe Knights and 102 Undyings. How pitiful. Milky Way Horde leader has become a common enemy that everyone targets to kill. What a pity, we are also at our wits' end. 21 Universe Masters from the Primal Universe had gathered. Pengong Master saw how the other reincarnation eras and 2 Holy Lands were attacking Luo Feng, and he was so mad that his expression changed into an unpleasant sight. Yet, he was helpless. As for the others like Bugs Clan, Demon Clan and Prison Clan, who might have showed empathy on the surface, might most probably be secretly gloating over Luo Feng's predicament, they would not have wished for the human race to become stronger. Regardless of how the outside world was turned upside down, Luo Feng was still quietly studying the Rhinoceros Emperor game. Time was like flowing water, and the years flew by. In a blink of the eye, close to 500 years had passed. Originally, everyone had thought the time required to complete the test of this Rhinoceros Emperor game would not be that long, yet the fact had proven otherwise, and elites from the 3 reincarnation eras and the 2 Holy Lands truly felt the difficulty of the Rhinoceros Emperor game. The 999th stage is successfully decoded. In the space of an individual plane surface within the virtual universe, Luo Feng stood before the 3-dimensional virtual shadow of the 1000th endgame and studied it thoroughly. Close to 500 years, endgame after endgame had been decoded, yet the time that Luo Feng spent on decoding these endgames was continuously increasing. He was getting slower and slower, and had to spend close to 500 years to perfectly decode the full 999th stage. The 1000th stage. How difficult? Luo Feng had a feeling this first 1000 stages would most probably be a bottleneck. Luo Feng. In the virtual universe, while Luo Feng was observing the 3-dimensional virtual shadow of that 1000th endgame, a man in white robe stood a short distance away and watched him. This man in white robe had eyes like jade stones, which vaguely seemed to contain all the secrets within the universe. There was a faint smile on his face, and he was very at ease and relaxed, as though he was on an outing. Luo Feng has proven himself once again. The man in white robe was observing from afar, and even though Luo Feng could see far into the distance in this direction, it was as though the man in white robe was invisible to him. Within the virtual universe, not even Huge Axe Creator could do this. Only the creator of the virtual universe, Teacher Origin. Only Teacher Origin could achieve this, to be before Luo Feng, and yet Luo Feng could feel nothing. Such a short cultivation, but extremely strong willpower. The man in white robe soft sung praises of Luo Feng, has chosen to take the path of studying diagrams of secret engravings. It may be possible that studying the diagrams of secret engravings is similar to studying the Rhinoceros Emperor game. If not, it will not be possible that even Huge Axe's speed can be so far from his. The great beings within the human race were also studying the Rhinoceros Emperor game through the virtual universe. Teacher Origin would certainly know the progress of each and every one. He was shocked to discover that Luo Feng's speed of comprehension far surpassed any of the other universe masters. Even Huge Axe could not hold a candle to Luo Feng. Judging from the inheritance, Undyings, Knights, Universe Masters, Universe Supreme Masters, the 4 levels have very different foundations of their own. Speeds of comprehension are fundamentally different. I suppose the requirements for each level during the selection test will also differ. The man in white robe gently nodded. Luo Feng is merely a universe knight. The requirements for him should not be that high, and he himself could comprehend so quickly. No wonder Dandong River has set eyes on him. Studying the diagrams of secret engravings. The man in white robe shook his head and mused. Rhinoceros Emperor game. Interesting. Huge Axe is obviously not as outstanding in his ability to deduce because he is too foolishly rigid, placing all his affections on his axe. The man in white robe shook his head. Otherwise, given his foundation of a Universe Supreme Master, his speed of comprehension would not lose to Luo Feng. The Rhinoceros game is indeed very interesting. The man in white robe walked to stand beside Luo Feng, and Luo Feng, who was seated cross-legged, was not the least bit aware. If I were merely a Universe Knight, I think I won't ever be able to match up to Luo Feng. The man in white robe shook his head. He himself had an extremely solid foundation. In terms of ability, even Huge Axe was far from being his equal. After being eternally suppressed for endless time, he grew even stronger and complete, but that was because he could do nothing else when being eternally suppressed. This first 2000 stages, how should I decode them? The man in white robe walked over to the 3-dimensional virtual shadow of the 2000th stage with a slight frown. He was a genius gifted with talents, and his talents were all so superior that they were unbelievable, as the virtual universe needed to meet the demands of countless living souls on a daily basis. With respect to deducing secret techniques, he was much more formidable and skillful than any other great beings. Rhinoceros Emperor? What kind of an existence this was, to be able to create such an unbelievable object. The man in white robe was beside Luo Feng as he stood silently to comprehend as thoroughly as he could. The time velocity in his surroundings was maintained at 10,000 times. As the creator of the virtual universe, he certainly had the ability to bring the rate of light velocity to reach as high as 10,000 times within that extremely small area. Luo Feng and Teacher Origin were side by side. Yet Luo Feng was completely unaware of the existence of Teacher Origin, who was right beside him. In the boat of Mausoleum, within the life and death corridor, there were thousands of stone pillars with numerous three-dimensional virtual shadows. There was also a tremendous amount of crystal pillars, and every crystal pillar corresponded to one candidate. The various great beings were comprehending in silence. Of course, there were a few dozens of universe masters who were attacking that Crimson Tower, trying to disrupt Luo Feng as he cultivated. Actually, with the passing of time, Luo Feng and the batch of great beings who entered with him might have entered a year or two earlier, but because they had been constantly comprehending the Rhinoceros Emperor game for more than 500 years, there really was not much of an advantage to speak of any further, and they did not feel that Luo Feng had that much hope. It was just to keep the attacks on him going on. Normally, universe masters who got tired of comprehending who start attacking Luo Feng. Sounds as such could always be heard, as though the sounds came from the hearts of every great being. What is happening? Dandong River. Look, it's Dandong River. Right there, from Universe Supreme Masters to Undying Godly Spirits, close to 100,000 candidates looked up into midair where light rays converged into a lone figure, giving form to a green-haired man called Dandong River. He looked down and his eyes rested on that Crimson Tower as his voice sounded, "Candidates. Human form Milky Way has achieved the decoding requirements." What? That human form Milky Way Horde leader has met the demands? Everyone was shocked. Right from the very beginning, if they had seen Luo Feng as a great threat, yet upon comprehending for more than 500 years, they all had shaken off the notion that Luo Feng was a great threat, because they did not believe that out of the countless great beings who joined in later, there was no one who could catch up with Luo Feng's progress. Silence. Dandong River's gaze swept everyone present. Silence. Dandong River looked towards the Crimson Tower. "Milky Way, get out here," Dandong River ordered. Sure, the Crimson Tower disappeared. Donning a silver armor, black-haired Luo Feng stood where the tower was previously, and with a slight bow, he greeted, "My greetings, Lord Dandong River. That is human form Milky Way Horde leader." Milky Way Horde leader? Those undying godly spirits' eyes widened as they looked afar, at that dazzling figure before them. Luo Feng was aware why Dandong River had appeared. Not too long ago, he had completed decoding of the first 1,000 stages, and the reasons to why he could be the first to succeed. Firstly, because he was, indeed, very adept in comprehending. Secondly, it might most probably be because he was a universe knight, so he was guessing that there were different expectations of great beings of different level of powers. Milky Way. Dandong River looked down at Luo Feng. Luo Feng kept his body inclined in a slight bow, paying no heed to the great beings from the various groups of powers around him, who were all filled with envy and jealousy. "You may have satisfied the requirements, but this test still takes a long time. Continue comprehending," Dandong River ordered. "As you comprehend and decode more games, the more beneficial it will be for you in accepting the inheritance in future." Noted. Luo Feng replied. "Just focus on comprehending at ease, no one can hurt you." Dandong River pointed into the distance. Beside Luo Feng, that crystal pillar suddenly released a hazy half-sphere of light shadows that resembled a gigantic hazy palace, and right away, it moved over to envelop Luo Feng. The entire light shadow palace was a picture of gold. On its surface were countless secret engravings in disarray, and just the power that the palace faintly exuded was strong enough to send shivers into the hearts of all the great beings present. Whoever dares to attack human form Milky Way, Dandong River's gaze swept every single being present, shall be eliminated and annihilated without delay. This video will end here.